Donkey Kong is a franchise that is responsible for so much. It literally birthed Mario with Mario's first appearance in the 1981 arcade game Donkey Kong. He rescued Nintendo of America from financial crisis, making a whopping $280 million. And all in all, he's had a lot of success. But why have Nintendo done our boy so dirty? In this video, I'm going to discuss the depressing state of Donkey Kong, starting with his lack of games. Now, we all know that Nintendo love making money and will do it whenever possible. With many remakes and ports, especially for the Mario series, it was a matter of time until Donkey Kong met the same fate. The problem is, Mario gets new games very frequently. Donkey Kong only gets remakes and ports. His last original game was released in 2014, which was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for the Wii U. Now, I understand why they ported Tropical Freeze, since the Wii U itself only sold 13.5 million consoles, which is not even a tenth of the Switch's sales. But even then, Tropical Freeze managed to sell over 2 million copies and got a ton of positive reviews and praise. With such praise, people was excited to see what the future would bring for the franchise, but instead they got 4 long years of absolutely nothing, until 2018 when the port for Tropical Freeze was announced and eventually released. And once again, the game saw success. 4.6 million copies were sold, bringing the total sales for Tropical Freeze up to a staggering 6.6 million copies sold. With this much success, you'd think Nintendo would capitalize on a franchise that has seen a lot of success, but instead they do absolutely nothing once again. Until 2024, when they announced Donkey Kong's long-awaited return with a second remake of Donkey Kong Country Returns. Honestly, should have called it Donkey Kong Country Returns again, but the sad reality is they've only done this game because the Switch is nearing its end and they need games to push out before the new console releases. And with the release date for this game being in 2025, there's no doubt that they'll port this onto the new console as well. You'd think they'd maybe announce a launch title for the new console alongside this remake, but there's no signs that show Donkey Kong will get a new title whatsoever. Sure, Donkey Kong Country Returns is a great game. It sold over 9.4 million units, with 6.5 million being on the Wii and nearly 3 million on the 3DS, and probably will sell another 2 or 3 million on the Switch. But there's only so many times people will pay full price and play a game. Country Returns is being beat like a cow to shit another remake out every so often. Eventually, it just ruins the legacy of the series, and doing that eventually ruins the franchise as a whole. We've been able to play Donkey Kong on every single console released since the Wii. The Wii came out a very long time ago. Just let the game rest, man. But now I'm going to talk about remakes. I know I just dissed them, but I do think Donkey Kong himself can actually profit from them, not just Nintendo. Donkey Kong 64 is a game that, surprise surprise, saw a lot of success, selling over 5.2 million copies. It's also the only 3D installment of the franchise. Now, the game itself does have very mixed reviews. But all in all, it's mostly a loved game. Now, instead of remaking a great game that we've already had remade twice, remake the game that had mixed reviews and perfect it to make it a staple game in the series. We all know Mario 64 was 3D Mario's breakthrough, and this could be the same for Donkey Kong. Since Nintendo have since nailed 3D games as a whole, Donkey Kong Remake could propel Donkey Kong to even higher heights, just like Mario, but without copying his jig. With a complete different setting and cast, Donkey Kong could see tons of success with 3D games, and it would shorten the gaps between the Country Returns remakes. They did it with Crash Bandicoot, they remade the entire trilogy, released Crash 4, and it did incredibly well. They could do the exact same for Donkey Kong and make even more money. Now, the last thing I want to mention is simply the success this series has had as a whole, because it might honestly surprise you and make you question even more why Nintendo won't do anything with the bloke. So for starters, he's the 5th highest selling franchise for Nintendo, selling 88 million combined copies, which is mental. The Donkey Kong series on its own has sold over 53 million units. The classic Donkey Kong series sold the remaining 30 million plus copies, and that original series alone generated over $5.2 billion. Donkey Kong Jr., which if you didn't know is this geezer, made over $500 million. A side character most people have probably never heard of making that much money is absurd. Even Diddy Kong made the big bucks, with Diddy Kong Racing selling over 6 million units combined. A franchise with this much selling power has been left to just rot, and it makes no logical sense. So all in all, the current state of Donkey Kong is this: a character that seems to be more of a Mario side character, even though Mario is a Donkey Kong side character. He fills a slot on Mario Kart and Smash Bros. He was in the Mario movie, he has an amiibo or two, and apart from that, He doesn't have anything. It's such a shame, and all we can do is sit and wait till Nintendo eventually decide to do something with him. But that is all for this video. Please let me know your thoughts about the current Donkey Kong situation, and let me know what other topics you'd like to see discussed on the channel. But that's it for now. See you later.